Alright, welcome back to ToQger! Not ToQger, Super Sentai Review, episode number 443. Yes, I am talking about ToQger, episode 3940. The reason why, because this is basically a 4-part story arc, and this is the first half of this story arc. Well, kind of anyways. Because these two episodes start off the build to the beginning of the end of the series. Excuse me. So in the first two episodes, these two episodes in particular, 3940, where it's Christmas time. That means vegetation is very high, and that means darkness is basically going through a drought. So Schwartz is like, yeah, let's basically have our Akira rejoins with him, and have him where he leaves the drill with the ToQgers and his Zord, but not his Morpher. He keeps the Morpher and basically he morphs. And also he basically sheds his human form and basically spends the next few episodes in his shadow form. He ends up finding his own team because he's working with Schwartz, and the reason, because he wants to take on the Emperor to free Miss Greta. That's simply the reason for it. And throughout a lot of this, basically, it's like Greta is like loosely slipping out of the Emperor's, like these feathers popping out for some reason. And Madame Noir, by the way, in episode 39, this features her final monster in the entire series. You're like, really? Her final monster? Yes. 39 has her final monster, and from what I can tell, no one has a monster in episode 44 of the series. Yes, so basically we go at least 4 straight episodes with no shadow monster. You're like, what? Well, they do feature some cloners. Yes. But not in the case of basically for monsters. For the shadow monsters, yes. Well, Schwartz basically has, well, Akira work for him in basically 40. So what's the name of the monster that Madame Noir uses? Tombstone Shadow. Yes, so it's a shadow that was imprisoned by the higher-ups because he wastes darkness. And what does he do with darkness? He basically brings back dead monsters. Like, he brought back, like, the first monster. Like, he creates basically Bag Shadow, Bomb Shadow, Ring Shadow, Bucket Shadow. He even creates, when he was a giant, became Fence Shadow, Jack in the Box Shadow, Pin Spot Shadow. And interesting, basically, we have this character pop up here. And I do find interesting that basically, now Bag Shadow was the very first monster ever fought in the series. Bucket Shadow showed up in episode 5. Bomb Shadow was in episode 8. Ring Shadow was episode 18, which I think this was... No, but that feature basically Akira was laughing. There was Fence Shadow, which I believe this is basically like... Yeah, he may have returned in this episode here. And then we have Jack in the Box Shadow. Yes. And then we have Pin Spot Shadow. Yeah. Eventually... And of course, fighting Miller's Mark, and of course they have to fight Baron Nero, and he goes giant size, and then he's destroyed in the Waste Darkness, and then that's the last shadow you'll see until episode 43. Yeah, the last one. The reason for it? Not sure. Yeah. So, basically, after the whole turning on them, then he proceeds to have him and Akira raid the castle terminal. Where they blast right through, battling everybody, and eventually, like, Madame Noir is, like, thrown outside of the terminal, and she's later on trying to work with Schwartz later on. Like, I thought that was just ballsy. To take a female villain and throw it out a window. I've never seen that before in any Sentai. Having the main villain do that. That's ballsy. Like, I've never, like I said, I've never seen any main villain do with a female supporting character before. Just throw her out a window, and she survives, no problem. Then eventually, the Emperor flees, and of course Akira is basically with him, and then he fights him on his own Darkliner, and then, like, oh, I need your power. He's like, what power? And then we see Akira mort, and then we bring him on board the Rainbow Express, and no gay thing. Basically, that's what's called Rainbow Express. And then he demorphs, and it's a freaking Emperor inside the freaking train. Now, the only reason why he doesn't exactly, do anything really bad to the train, because he's going through a drought. So that's why he's going to be here. And it's like he fled from his own terminal, because apparently Miss Grass has to stay inside of him for the time being when something bad will happen. And of course, Baron Nero and Mark basically tries to get him back. And then we have a shocking conclusion at the end of episode 40, where the ground starts shaking after basically a battle going on. And then here comes the Chaos Terminal, basically, because it's a shadow town. So it comes out, and then we see a tree come out of the ground. Yes, a tree. And it turns out this tree is the Rangers' secret base when they originally were kids. And it turns out Castle Terminal is on top of their hometown. And it's been like that all along. Now I'm like, this interesting. At this point, where you have the Rangers seeing the main base operations for the villains. At this point in the series, this is nothing unusual. Per se, we have like a base scene at this point because we're getting really close to the end. Because at this point, there's like 7 to go. So, of course, now we see the base operations for the villains. Sometimes, basically, they'll show it earlier, like in the case of Densey Man. They actually show the base operations 5 episodes in. They don't go on board the base later on in the thing. But I do like it. And plus, also, we have like a ranger inside of the terminal just wrecking stuff. Now, of course, Team itself is not there just yet. We'll find out if they go there later on. But, yeah, the whole purpose of coming here is to set up the end of the series. That's the whole purpose of being here. But I'm definitely looking forward to talking about the remaining 7 episodes of the series. I'll probably get a chance to do a review for these other episodes later on. But I just want to talk about these episodes now because these episodes are so good. They're so, like, basically we have a lot of plot-driven episodes. Yes, a lot of plot-driven ones. I don't know if we have more filler, but I'm glad we're finally getting past the filler, so we're going to go back to plot episodes. Yep. So yeah, that's the episode of you. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. I will see you all later if I get time to work on more Sentai. Okay, next video. Bye.